The story kicks off with Wendy gaining consciousness, and her hearing now offline. She is under the watch of Dame Sylvia and Kirsh, who probe her about the screeching sound she has been picking up from the Xenomorphs. Things shift when Boy Cavalier steps in, dismissing the pair, and prepares to restore Wendy's hearing, only for Joe to arrive, checking in on his sister. Cavalier quickly introduced himself, stating Joe has been working with him for a while. Joe is grateful for Cavalier's help in saving his life, but with a twisted grin, Cavalier drops a chilling tease about what they have done with Joe's old lung, the same one shredded by a Xenomorph not too long ago. When Wendy continued to insist that she can't hear, Joe asked them if they brought those alien eggs with them, and none of them answered, as they proceeded to do what was on their mind. Arthur then reactivates Wendy's hearing and presses her for answers. Wendy narrates to him that she woke up and began to hear a weird noise which sounded like bugs rubbing their legs together. It was screaming so loud that she had to follow it, which then led her to the lab. While Arthur argues the ability should be shut down, Cavalier and even Wendy herself insist it stays. If the aliens are speaking to her, she wants to hear them. After a short while, the test begins. Suddenly, Wendy picks up the frequency again, something nobody else can hear, not even Curly can detect. Cavalier leans in, thrilled, urging her to mimic the sound. When she does, by perfectly recreating the alien signal, the room splits in reaction, terror for most, but awe for Cavalier. Joe insisted that they let his sister rest, but Cavalier wasn't willing to. However, after much push, she agreed to let Wendy go. Wendy shows Joe her room. While they both discussed, she asked if Joe was mad at her, but Joe replied no, stating he wasn't mad at her, but then given the fact they didn't let him visit Wendy at the hospital when she was ill. After their conversation, the two watched one of their childhood's movie. Elsewhere, Morrow deepens his grip on Slightly's network, pushing the hybrid further into his schemes. He demands an alien egg, twisting the logic by claiming it isn't theft if it already belongs to Yutani. His manipulation runs deep, so much that Slightly lets slip something forbidden. His real name, Arush Singh. A mistake he is going to regret. After the conversation with Morrow, Slightly proceeded to head back into his room, only to find Kirsh there. It seems Kirsh noticed something wrong happening to Slightly, but unfortunately, he can't place a hand on what is wrong. Once Kirsh was done, he left Slightly room for his experiment, as he goes on to oversee a sheep locked inside a glass chamber. The alien hatchling an octopus-like thing with a single eyeball head. And in seconds, it slaughters the sheep, tears out its eye, and implants itself in the socket, seizing full control of the body. This creature is highly intelligent, Kirsh observes. But when Cavalier steps forward, locking eyes with a parasite, it responds in kind as if recognizing him as the one to watch. Meanwhile, Arthur pulls Dame Sylvia aside for a private talk. He is deeply troubled by how Wendy is being used, while Dame argues that progress can take many forms. To her, Cavalier is a bold innovator. To Arthur, he is reckless, given the fact he sent them into the war front when they are just a bunch of kids, and this is not scientific. Arthur presses her to consider the fallout if everything collapses. Their tense exchange is cut short by Nibs, who wanders in distress, claiming she is now pregnant, despite being a machine. It's impossible, yet her fear is real. Realizing the hybrid's mental health is fracturing under their new, larger forms, Dame takes Nibs away to comfort her. She then tries to calm Nibs with a chart, explaining how humans reproduce, but Nibs lashes out, shouting and smacking the content away. Convinced she's carrying a baby girl, Nibs spirals as Dame carefully brings up the tower site. Quick flashes reveal Nibs battling the eyeball alien, but she refuses to discuss it. When Dame reassures her the creatures can't reach her, Nibs snaps by shoving her violently. For the first time, Dame is visibly afraid. Although Nibs let her go, but Dame is still shaken by this as she realized that the hybrids are now struggling in their new bodies, but Nibs is unraveling the fastest. So she quietly hit a silent alarm, and not long enough some men arrived to take Nibs away. However, Nibs seems to have suddenly flipped back, as if nothing happened. So once the security finally arrive, Dame orders them to lock her in and declares a level 3 event. Whatever that means, it is very serious. Elsewhere, Cavalier's right-hand man named Adam Ince allows Joe to stick around, but only if he agrees to work for them. Wanting to stay close to his sister, Joe reluctantly accepts. Ince then discussed Joe's role in the program, as he demands proof to know if Marcy's transition into Wendy was a success. Joe refused, saying he quits, but Ince quickly reminds him of the price, which was no more access to Wendy, and the bill for that replacement loan. Cornered, Joe folds. When Joe asked when he could take Wendy home, Ince revealed a brutal truth, which was Wendy will never leave the island, stating that she is not human anymore. Just as Joe leaves, he eventually linked up with his workmate. Meanwhile, Wendy arrives for what she thinks is a meeting with Dame Sylvia, but instead, it's only Boy Cavalier waiting, as he wants to know more about her clash with the Xenomorph before then jumping to Peter Pan's crocodile fight, twisting the moment into a storybook comparison. Wendy pushes back, insisting the facehugger should never have been cut open. She couldn't fully understand the other aliens, but she knows they didn't like it. Cavalier shifts the topic, probing about Joe's place on the island. Wendy wants him to stay, but Cavalier isn't convinced that she has earned that privilege. With cold precision, he lays it out. If Wendy helps him figure out what the aliens are saying, Joe stays. If not, he's gone. Wendy promises to figure this out just so her brother can stay. On the other hand, Kirsh and Toodles observe the sheep, which is now under the alien control. Feeling like a true scientist at last, Toodles asked Kirsh if he could change his name. Kirsh is surprised by this, so he asks Toodles which name he prefer, and just then Toodles decides to rename himself as Isaac after Isaac Newton. Kirsh approves without hesitation. But in the hallway, newly dubbed Isaac runs into Slightly, who is clearly rattled. He is simply there to steal a Xenomorph egg but freezes when Isaac blocks the path, forcing him to retreat for now. Kirsh, suspicious, taps into Slightly's link with Morrow and overhears the exchange. The hybrid admits he can't get into the lab, but Morrow isn't having it, especially since he's seated right beside Slightly's terrified mother, who believed her son was long dead. With his family threatened, Slightly has no choice but to obey. But Morrow shifts the plan. No longer does he want an egg, he also wants a human brought to one. Calmly, he lays out the horrifying details of the facehugger process, promising to take care of the victim after. Now Slightly has just 24 hours to deliver someone. Out on the grounds, Joe sits with the Lost Boys, explaining the 5 corporations that run everything, and how Yutani is desperate to reclaim the specimens from the crashed ship. Slightly arrives, bristling at Joe's presence. Joe doesn't argue, he admits their families should all be here too. The hybrids are stuck in limbo. Do they cling to who they were, or accept what they've become? As Wendy heads off to see the boy, genius in the lab, Slightly locks eyes with Joe. Later that night, Joe checked the scar on his body unbeknownst to him that Slightly is busy monitoring his every move from outside. Meanwhile in the lab, Wendy studies Joe's transplanted lung, chittering softly to whatever lurks inside. Kirsh observes from the shadows. Suddenly, the organ convulses, and a newborn Xenomorph bursts free, glass shattering in its wake. The creature fixes its gaze on Wendy, but instead of attacking, it responds to her mimicry. She reaches out, and it lets her touch it. The connection is undeniable for Wendy. The episode 4 of Alien Earth then came to an end. Kindly subscribe to get updated on this show next week. Thanks for watching and goodbye.